Trump was elected here, and currently Bitcoin is trading at that particular level. So all the gains from the Trump election, well, they've been round tripped. So what's going on with Bitcoin? Let's dig in and let's try to keep it brief. To start on a micro, we have to go to a lower time frame, and here we are going to the 2-hourly time frame. Now, we have a CME gap at about 79.6 to 81.3, but before that, there are some strong resistance zones. So the first resistance zone is coming in right here at 69.5, and the second one is coming in at 72.2. The second one being the strongest, actually, because you'll have to close a weekly candle right there for us to project to the upside. In a perfect world, you would see this thing go up like so. That's in a world where this thing was just following our analysis as we just predicted. It would go up like so, but we are not in a perfect world now, are we? Yeah, we are in hell. So let's just forget about that for now. So this CME gap at about 79.6 to 81.3 will be our short-term target for BTC, assuming that we can have a weekly candle close right here above 72.2 to 72.4. I am of the idea that we will most likely head back up to that level, but again, it's conditional. In fact, we actually went long right here at 67.5, and that thing moved up by about 2.43%. Assuming that you're using a 20x leverage, it's not bad considering that we are in hell, yeah? So that is mostly what we are seeing here for the short term on BTC. Now, it could still go even as high as 91.7, but for now, we don't want to talk about that. We will wait until BTC can come as high as this level right here. That's the CME gap. Then we will make another update. So let's focus on this for now. Now, as we zoom out, that's when things begin to look somewhat worrisome. Now, the question I usually ask myself each time I come to the macro time frame when I'm going to the daily or the weekly time frame, the question I usually ask is, what's the worst that could happen? Yeah, and from that worst, I now start to look at, well, am I prepared for it? Where will I want to buy and stuff like that? So what's the worst that could happen here? Well, it appears that the worst that could happen is for BTC to drop as low as 39K right here. We do have a lot of support zones to the downside, and 57.8 right here is a support zone. 54 right here is a support zone. We have some other zone at about 52, but if we skip all of that and we are just looking for the absolute worst, 39.2 would be that worst. Now, is it to say that it can never go lower than this? No, absolutely not. It can go lower. This thing could still go back to 20K, yeah, and call our bluff. Tell us that, oh, you were waiting for the bull market. Yeah, here am I at 20K. That could still happen. But based on the charts right now, as of now, this will be the worst. Now, in a perfect world, BTC should actually bottom right here and go back up as high as 93.4 right here. So that would be in a perfect world. Because in that world, this 1.618 right here would have been the bottom of this entire drop. So if we bring this back to the candlestick chart, you'll see that that thing literally bottomed at the 1.618 right here. And after this bottom, in that perfect world, this thing should move back up to 93.3 to 93.4, give or take a few $100, perhaps $100 or $200. So this would be the perfect scenario. But again, we are not in a perfect world. We are in a crazy market, yeah? So what's the most probable scenario? Well, I would be of the idea that at the very minimum, we should come back up to retrace this CME gap right here at about 81K. That would be the minimum scenario. And after that, we will have more data now on the chart that we can use to forecast more into the future. The idea that from this particular point at 69.1, we just spiral down to 39K-ish, is not something that I can predict. Now, mind you, we can see what the worst can be, but to predict that it's going to go exactly there from now is not what we can predict. Because the same data that we use to get these figures down here also give us other figures to the upside. And the way price works is there is always a retracement back to the upside before a move to the downside, and there is always a retracement back to the downside before a move to the upside. Now, sometimes you may not get the retracements. However, you can't say, because sometimes we don't have the retracements, I'm going to always assume that they are not going to happen. No, most of the times you will get the retracement. So your strategy must include potential retracements. And in this particular scenario right here, ideally, we get the retracement back to the upside. We just suffered a humongous move to the downside right here. Ideally, we get a relief rally right here. And as we have already discussed, that relief rally could potentially go back to the CME gap at about 79.6 to 81.3. Let's now look at the broader picture. Would it be done if BTC came down even to the 39K zone right here? Again, we are not saying that it's going to come here. We're just saying that that's the worst that we can see, yeah? But what if we bottom right here? What would be the move to the upside, the macro move to the upside? What if this right here is the macro bottom? What if we are literally sitting at the bottom right here? What would be the move to the upside? Well, as I mentioned in my previous USDT dominance video, we have to let go of the idea that we are going to be experiencing 4-year cycles, and every 4 years, the markets dump and that's it, and we wait for another 2 years before the markets start to move back to the upside. I'm thinking that thing probably died this cycle. And if that is to be the case, then we might as well start another bull run from here. And that bull run, well, of course, will mean that we go back above the previous, the all-time high right here at about 126K. And after that, the next level we'll be looking at will be somewhere around 170 to 174K. That wouldn't be the highest, actually, because there are some other levels, but for now, let's focus on that as our broader picture or macro target. So that's pretty much it, folks. I know the work is messy, but if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and we'll try to answer them in another video. But until then, stay safe.